allegedly, the defendant, the person now charged with murder, after several of these attempts, walked out of the side gate, fired what sounds like a warning shot, a shot into the ground before making the shot. And I think that's important. We are the Armed Attorneys. Today we're talking about Ding Dong Ditch potentially turned deadly here in Houston. It's a very high profile case. Gotten a lot of questions about it. Does self-defense apply? You know, what is this individual charged now with murder looking at? And kind of the factors that go into the use of deadly force in this situation. But before we begin, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting that like button. Now, this is, I mean, to say the least, controversial. We're reporting based on information that's being provided by the Houston Police Department, news accounts. So with the big caveat of, hey, we've only really got to hear one side of the story, give us a little leeway on this, because we are going to be going through the probable cause affidavit, pointing out some good things, bad things, and I'm sure there's more to this, and we'll learn it later. And obviously, the death of any 11-year-old, tragic. That's the caveat.
Yeah, like Richard said, I mean, we have no idea what the real facts are here. We haven't seen a police report. Contrary to popular opinion, police reports actually aren't really public. So we don't have all the facts, obviously. We have a probable cause affidavit, and we know what they've been saying on the news. So that's a huge caveat, because we really don't know what the truth is.
Yeah, one thing kind of I don't think is mentioned in the probable cause affidavit I did want to point out briefly. I mean, we'll throw the map up on the screen. Got a heat map of Houston crime. This was taking place in the Clinton Park kind of neighborhood, and this is a high crime area. So I won't say it's the highest crime area in Houston, but it's up there. And so, you know, that's when you're a self-defender, that's what a lot of people ask. And this is the other thing that I initially suspected when this incident was reported, was maybe it was part of this door kicking game. I've seen stories about that.
Yeah.
Utes on the loose kicking down doors as a prank. That's not the kind of prank that I imagine. But this doesn't appear to be that. You know, again, we're basing this off of a probable cause affidavit. We're just reporting what's out there. But, you know, because in that situation, and I think we should talk about the door kick game at the end of this.
Yeah. I thought it was the door kick game as well. And I think that changes everything quite a bit, too. I mean, if someone's kicking down your door.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, Castle Doctrine, probably implicated, but we'll go through this probable cause affidavit, and, you know, we'll see what we got right here. So,
Okay.
All right, probable cause. Affiant J. Brown is a certified peace officer employed as a detective with the Houston Police Department Homicide Division and assigned to Day Shift Murder Squad 3. I have reason to believe and do believe that Defendant Gonzalo Leon Jr., date of birth redacted, committing the felony offense of murder on or about August 30th, 2025 in Harris County. Gonzalo Leon Jr. was identified by a sex driver's license, redacted that out, and he goes on to say on August the 31st, Affiant was assigned to investigate the murder of complainant J.G., an 11-year-old. At the beginning of my investigation, I spoke to HPD Homicide Detective E. Gonzalez, certified peace officer, and I found to be credible and reliable.
I always love how they have to add that part.
Yeah, because, all right, people always add, that's kind of a fun little aside. Why do they say that information? Well, this person who wrote this probable cause affidavit, they didn't observe everything, speak to every single witness, view every piece of evidence. And so, you know, they have to base their decision on credible and reliable information. So if somebody tells them something, you know, they have to make that judgment call of, was this person credible or are they not credible? And it tends to be when they talk to other officers, they find them credible. And when they talk to witnesses that have problematic information, they find them not credible.
Yeah, that's what I found.
All right. Detective Gonzalez stated that the case was originally assigned to him as a shooting because the complainant was still alive at the time. Detective Gonzalez stated he was assigned to the shooting investigation on August 30th, 2025, about 23:40 hours. Detective Gonzalez stated that his partner went to the scene of the shooting, locating on Racine Street, Houston, Harris County, Texas, and arrived at approximately 0147 hours on August the 31st, 2025. Detective Gonzalez stated while at the scene he met HPD officers found to be credible and reliable and stated they were the primary units on the scene, having been dispatched to a shooting at 22:56 hours on August the 30th, 2025, and having arrived at 23:05 hours. Detective Gonzalez stated that the officer stated a young child identified as complainant J.G. had been shot and taken to the hospital, but was still alive. Detective Gonzalez stated that he learned that the complainant's mother had arrived at the hospital and confirmed the identity and age of the complainant. All right, so all this kind of preamble stuff leading up to, all right, Now let's get into the meat and potatoes. Do you want to pick it up, Leslie?
Yeah, sure. I also think it's interesting to kind of note that the initial dispatch was at 22:56. So what? That's almost 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And this detective didn't show up until almost 2 a.m. So there's a lot of time that passes in between that.
Yep.
Detective Gonzalez stated that he was able to speak to the juvenile identified as witness JG, who was with complainant JG when he was shot. Witness JG stated that he and complainant JG were walking around knocking on doors of some residents and running away, a prank sometimes called ding dong ditch. Witness JG stated that he and complainant JG were doing this as a joke or prank. Witness JG stated that complainant JG went up to the last house, knocked on the door, then they both ran. Witness JG stated that this time he heard a gunshot as they were running away. Witness JG stated that hearing the gunshot caused him to look back at the house they were running away from, where he saw a person who he described as wearing all black extend his arm and shoot one more time towards complainant JG. Witness JG stated that complainant JG collapsed on the ground asking for help. Witness JG said that he screamed for help and a neighbor ran up to help complainant JG. Now, just to clarify, so there's two JGs. One is a witness and one is the actual alleged victim in this case.
Yep.
Detective Gonzalez stated that witness JG directed police to the house where they were running from, specifically a street in Houston, Texas, when complainant JG was shot. Witness JG stated that the person who shot the complainant JG was standing next to the stop sign right in front of the house. Detective Gonzalez confirmed that there is a stop sign at the corner in front of the house. Detective Gonzalez stated that witness JG also stated that he and complainant JG played the prank by knocking on the door of the same house several times, which I think we've all seen that report in the news. My understanding from what the news is saying, of course, is that this was the third time that they had knocked on this door, 1, 2, and then the third time is when the person actually came out with the
And
firearm.
that would tend to, I mean, that lines up with maybe this not being the door kick game, door kick game. My experience in having seen some of these cases, it's kind of a one-time deal. You're not running back to the house, but, we'll see. Yeah, I'll pick up here.
Okay.
Detective Gonzalez stated that he learned officers on scene located the defendant, who was positively identified by his Texas driver's license as Gonzalo Leon Jr. within the residence located on Mimbro Street. He called using their vehicle PA system for a period of approximately 20 minutes and eventually detained him once he exited the residence. Detective Gonzalez stated that the defendant matched the physical description and clothing style of the shooter as described by witness JG. Detective Gonzalez stated that the defendant was taken to the station where he did not speak to the police and requested an attorney.
Good call on his part.
Yeah, so two things. One, they're outside of his house with a PA system commanding him to come out of the house. Question, is he required to come out of the house?
I think the first question would be, do they have some sort of search warrant for his home? Is that what they're trying to execute? If they don't have a search warrant, then the answer would be no, he does not have to come out of the house. As we can see here, it doesn't sound like they were planning on leaving until he did come out of the house, though.
Yeah, and could they get a warrant fairly quickly? Yeah, I mean, it just depends. But you could see some of these warrants executed in under 30 minutes, so it looks like they're running up against that timeline. And then the second thing, he didn't speak to the police. That's good. Yeah, don't talk to the police without an attorney.
Absolutely.
All right, next one. Detective Gonzalez stated that officers on scene were able to talk to the defendant's wife, who confirmed that only she, the defendant, and their toddler daughter, who lived at the house, that they were all at the residence at the time of the alleged shooting. Detective Gonzalez said that HPD officer Charles received consent from the defendant's wife to enter the home, and once inside, he saw 4 to 5 AR-style rifles in a small closet on the left side of the residence, right next to the front door, as well as a pistol that was alleged to belong to the defendant's wife. Detective Gonzalez confirmed that the police did not take the weapons at that time. All right, this is a question that comes up all the time. Consent to search. Who can give consent to search?
Anyone in the home can give consent to search, whose home it is.
Right. So the question about, hey, can this person give consent to search? It really revolves around the question of, is there an expectation of privacy in that location for the person who's granting consent? So, for example, let's say you have roommates, you all keep your doors locked separately. One of the other roommates couldn't consent to a search of your room inside of that residence because they don't really have any interest in that stuff. It's not the room. But shared residence, husband, wife, will one be able to give consent? The answer is generally yes.
And also, the person has to be over the age of 18. So, I
Yes.
mean, can your child consent? No, they can't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. They're like, yeah, turn on the police lights. Yeah.
Right, exactly. During follow-up investigation, affiant called Memorial Hermann Hospital and spoke to Dr. Cox, who confirmed the condition of complainant JG. Dr. Cox stated that complainant JG died while being treated for a gunshot wound to his back. Now, this is a question I think we always see, and not specific to this case in any manner, but one question I always get is, well, if I shoot someone in the back, am I done for? There's actually a lot of studies that show that someone can turn around faster than you can stop your body from pulling the trigger. So if let's say someone's coming towards you, again, not specific to this case, but let's say someone is coming towards you and you start firing a gun,
yeah, you make the decision to fire. Yeah.
Right. They can actually turn around before you can stop yourself from pulling the trigger. So it's very possible that while you are in the mind frame of pulling the trigger, that person's coming towards you and they turn around last minute and now you shoot them in the back. So, is that always an end all be all for someone? No, I think there's ways to explain around it.
Yeah, and it's all about action reaction time. You observe a stimuli, how much time does it take your body to process that, make a new decision? So, yeah, in other words, it's like the time it would take for the person to see the action and react to it. If that's greater than the time it takes the person to actually perform the action, the only way you could not do it is if you had a time machine. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, it could possibly be explained that way.
Mm-hmm. Affiant contacted HPD homicide detective Cass, a certified peace officer, who stated that on August 31st, 2025, he obtained permission to enter defendant's house again to recover firearms within the residence. Detective Cass stated that approximately 20 firearms were found, including AR-type rifles, shotguns, and medium caliber pistols. Now, this is where they shouldn't have consented. They shouldn't have given the consent for the police officers to come back and take those firearms.
Yeah, this is one of those situations too, and it's a question that comes up. Hey, you've been involved in a defensive shooting. What do you do with the firearm afterward? Assuming the scene is safe, reholstering, perfectly acceptable. Placing it in a safe location. Maybe it's a kitchen table. If it happened inside of your house, maybe it's on your car seat. If it happened on the roadway, all these things are going to depend. Really, there's not a one-size-fits-all answer to this stuff. But something that we really don't recommend people do is to commingle the defensive weapon with your entire collection of firearms. Because at that point, well, now the police need to figure out, especially if you're not talking to the police, and again, you wouldn't want to talk to the police without an attorney. Now the police have to figure out which firearm was used, and all these things are potentially evidence now. Should they get a warrant? Theoretically, yeah, they should. This not an issue with a warrant because they consented to it, but it's something that needs to be raised.
Yeah, and just to clarify again, I mean, we have no idea what the actual circumstances or facts are. So, they're saying this is how it happened. I don't know if that's how it happened or not.
Yeah, it's really funny. These probable cause affidavits are generally very one-sided.
They are very one-sided. Also, I know in all the news segments around here, everyone has really been focusing on the fact that there were 20 firearms. They've made a really big deal about the fact that this guy had 20 guns. Obviously, I think that nowhere does it say how many guns you are allowed or not allowed to have. Owning firearms, owning multiple firearms, having a whole collection of firearms definitely does not indicate that you are a criminal, that you commit any sort of crime, that you would commit any sort of crime. So I think the fact that everyone's focusing on how many guns were allegedly found in this home is really kind of ridiculous.
Yep. Well, and then also, it made it sound like from the probable cause affidavit that we have read previously, he used a handgun. And so the seizure of rifles, all these other things, it just seems unnecessary. On September 1st, 2025, affiant met with the witness and gave a statement regarding the incident. The witness said on the night of the murder, he and the complainant, who were cousins, were attending a birthday party with family at approximately a location about a block away from the shooting location. The witness said that he and the complainant became bored and wanted to go ring doorbells or play ding dong ditch. The witness said that there were only a few houses on the street, referring to Mimboro Street. Witness said that they knocked on the door of the blue house, identified as the defendant's residence, several times and ran away as a prank. Witness said that as they knocked the last time and turned and ran away, they saw the male dressed in black exit the wooden gate attached to the blue house. Having gone to the location of the shooting, I observed the gate to be that the witness GJ was referring to leads to the gate directly into the defendant's backyard. Witness said that he began to run when he saw the male exit the gate armed with a pistol and shoot one time into the ground. The witness said that the male then raised the pistol and shot once again in their direction, striking complainant. The witness said that complainant fell to the ground, was unable to move. Witness said that the complainant cried out in pain when he had been shot, and stated that he returned to assist his cousin, he had to army drag him because he believed that his legs were paralyzed. The witness said that he did so and observed the male slowly walk back into the blue house. During the investigation, I observed the house to be primarily blue in color. I asked the witness if he was certain which house the shooter walked back into, and he said it was this house many times, as his family lives nearby. I showed the witness the photo of the defendant's house located on Minborough Street. He positively identified it as the house that the complainant had knocked on as a prank, and the house that the gate that the shooter came from and subsequently walked back into after shooting. So, all right, learn of an important piece of information here. Allegedly, the defendant, the person now charged with murder, after several of these attempts, walked out of the side gate, fired what sounds like a warning shot, a shot into the ground before making the shot. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I think that's now what we're hearing is that the DA's office is potentially trying to charge this person with capital murder as opposed to murder.
Right.
And I think that is how they're getting to capital murder. Again, hasn't happened. They haven't charged him. That's just what the news is reporting. If they were to charge him, I think that's how they're going to get there. Is they're going to say that this was an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon with him firing into the ground, and that in the course of performing that aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, he ended up shooting someone, resulting in their death, which would get to capital murder. I don't think that capital murder charge would stand. I think that's kind of reaching. Grabbing at straws to get to capital murder.
Murder is when you're in the course of committing a felony, you commit a murder. That's one way you get there, and a capital offense in Texas carries with it life without parole or death. I mean, those are kind of the only two options. So I mean, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Last paragraph here, we don't need to read it. The complainant passed away, so that's where the murder charge is stemming from. So you see, again, caveats. One-sided probable cause affidavit. I'd be interested to see or hear the other side of the story. Are there some legitimate self-defense facts? Having done this for a period of time, I could see where self-defense facts get inserted kind of all over the place. Not saying that it was self-defense, not saying it wasn't self-defense, but I can see where there is opportunities for a legitimate self-defense claim. I'll just throw out one hypothetical. Comes out of the gate, sees the kid turning around with something in his hand, believed to be a firearm. All right, well, if that got left out, hey, look, that could be a legitimate self-defense claim. So let's withhold our judgment on justified, not justified for now, but it is going to be a big mess.
Yeah, and however this case plays out, whatever comes of it, which I will be very interested to see, this person's life is going to be on hold and very disrupted for the next a minimum of a year. I mean, I have a case pending right now that has been pending for 4 years. So, you're typically fired from your job. A lot of times you're having to go to court every single month. You have bond conditions. And then obviously the media attention that this person has gotten, their life is going to be very disrupted for a very long time.
Yeah, that's why good self-defense principle only as a last resort always applies. But this is a little bit of a different breakdown than we have done in the past. We hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video. If you have any questions or comments, leave those in the section down below. And until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.